बड़े पावन परमोले प्रेम दाता पद्मावती कुमार श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सचिनंदन श्री गौरंग महाप्रभु की जय। जय गौर शीतनाथ प्रेमानंदे। देवादि देवा Gauchara Gaurita Samandire Devadi Deva Gauchara Gaurita Samandire Devadi Deva Gauchara Gaurita
Devadi Deva Gaurachandra Gaurida
ordinary time, now we remember the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. Radha Kundata Tapunjibuki.
Sorry, what was it called? Radha?
Radha Kunda Hatha 218.
Yes, yes.
Page 218.
Radha Kunda Tata Tata. I love it.
Yeah.
Bale Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai, Jai Saliwali ki jai, Vrishabhanu Raj Kumari Ju ki jai, Jai Jai Sri Radhe Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Kutira Govardhana Parvata Yamuna Tira
Radha Kunda Tata
Kunja Kutira
Yamuna Tira. Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rupam tasya kajamuri purim maturim gushtuvartrim Radha kundam girivaram Ahurarika Marvasam Ratu Srutikipaya Sri Guru Tamnatusam Uladehi Gaurachandraya Radhaya Tadaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Hemabhadivyascha Visundara Tasmai Mahapremasampradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Bhaktya-vihina aparada lakshmi Chittastikavanitam gamadi Srimamaitvam sharanam prapaya Vrindu naste Sharanarvindam Vrindu namaste Sharanarvindam Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Hey Krishna, Hey Adava, Hey Saketi Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Shyam Sundar Shikanda Shikar Smaha Sumurali Manara Radhikar Sakamama Kripanidhe Sapriya Charna Kim Kurim Kuru Tavaivasmi Rajivami Tvayavana Divikyaya Devikam Namami Chanantikam First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands and thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmatiya Paramaradhatama Guru Pada Padma Nityalila Prarisht Om Vishnupada Ishtotar Sitasri Rupanugacharya Varya Sila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Brahma. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the Samud Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Vanchakalpa Krishna, Upasa Luberta, Puditaram Bhava
Srila Gurudev ki jai!
By the course's mercy of Sri Guru and Gauranga, all over the world, so many devotees have begun to celebrate the most auspicious occasion of the 150th anniversary of the appearance of our Jagat Guru Prabhupada Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So as part of that celebration, it began on Akshaya Tritiya with a big festival with acharyas of so many mats, and ISKCON also, and Chaitanya Academy, all coming together and celebrating and glorifying Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur together. And there, on that day also we launched this new book of the very, very important lectures of Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, which had never been translated before into English. Very, very profound and life-changing Siddhanta. So I'm not going to speak on this book today, but you can get the book here and read it tonight and tomorrow, and we'll speak about this very amazing katha tomorrow. Today, just as an introduction, I want to speak something about life and teachings of Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But you know, he appeared in this world in the year 1874 in a very illustrious household, as from the worldly point of view, as the son of Saptam Goswami, the seventh Goswami, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And of course, Prabhupada himself, though from the worldly point of view, people say Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had 13 children, and Prabhupada was one of them. But Srila Prabhupada would say, "Oh, you have never seen Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He had no children at all." Right? Because this is worldly vision. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a eternal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha and Krishna. So such great Vaishnavas, they cannot be seen, they cannot be measured by our material vision. So our Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, from the year 1905 to 1915, during that time, he sat in Mayapur before the deity of Sri Sachinandan Gauranga Mahaprabhu, which is now actually in Rudradeep Gaudiya Math, that deity. But at that time, that Vigraha of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Mayapur, and he did the Shatakoti Nam Jagya. Koti means 10 million. Shata means 100, so 100 times 10 million is a billion names of Sri Krishna. Chanting very intensely. 3 lakhs every day. Like Srila Haridas Thakur, 192 rounds every day. And he completed the vow in just short of 10 years. So it should be understood that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, whatever he has said, it is his direct realization of the transcendental world. He's not speaking from memory. He's not speaking like a scholar who has studied so many books. But he is constantly, always, in the flow of divine inspiration. Spontaneously absorbed in loving service to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Perhaps you know some of his very close associates. They used to follow him everywhere, and whatever he was saying, they would write it down. They would take a sentence each, maybe 2 or 3 scribes, and note down everything that he was saying when he was speaking, because very often he would just become gripped by an inspiration, and such sweet Harikatha would flow that was never heard in this day of Lord Brahma and may never be heard again. And even afterwards, when the Adesh, the absorption, subsided, then Srila Prabhupada, he could not remember exactly what he had said. We see that in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. When Mahaprabhu was instructing Srila Sanatana Goswami, he wanted to tell him some siddhantas about Krishna's opulences. But then what happened? Mahaprabhu, he entered into the ocean of Krishna's opulences and became lost. And then in his absorption, he saw the sweetness of Sri Krishna appear, and then Mahaprabhu began describe the glories of Sri Krishna in the eyes of Brajagopis, in the glories of Srimati Radharani. Then afterwards, he told Sanatana Goswami, "Oh, I never intended to say these things. You are fortunate that you have heard this. I lost my way." So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur was like that, in a state of inspiration. Once he was speaking, and the Srila Bhakti Shira Maharaj was there. And the Prabhupada was in the flow of ecstasy. And then, when he completed his expression, he said to Srila Shira Maharaj, "Oh, did you write that down?" But at that time, Srila Shira Maharaj, he could not find the pen. And he missed it. So he said, "Oh, you are Gopal Ganesh." Because Ganesh is the scribe of Srila Vyasadeva. So whatever Srila Vyasadeva is speaking in his samadhi, in his trance, then Ganesh is writing it down. But in India, sometimes you can make a Ganesh out of cow dung, Gopal Ganesh. And if you give dictation to the Gopal Ganesh, then what happens? Nothing. So he joked with his very intimate disciple in this way. So Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, we can say, there is a very beautiful verse in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we can see how he embodies this verse. Vajrat api katurani mriduni kushamadapi lokotaranam chaitangsi konu vigyatam ishvara. The meaning is, lokotaranam chaitangsi, the consciousness, the chitta of those persons who are lokotara, beyond this world. Konu vigyatam ishvara, who has the capability to understand them. To the worldly vision, they seem like such a bundle of contradictions. Because Vajrat apikatorani, sometimes they seem to be very hard, harsh, as a thunderbolt. And sometimes Viduni Kushamadapi, more soft as a rose. Actually, it is not sometimes, it is all the time. They are always hard as a thunderbolt in regard to whatever is pratikul, against bhakti. And they're always kushamadapi, softer than a rose, internally, because their hearts are melting, always in loving service of Sri Radha Krishna Juga, in the Nikunjas of Vrindavan. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he said that my father taught me to proofread, because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur was writing so many books, and before printing, then someone would have to proofread them. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur would engage Bimla Prasad, his son, in proofreading. He said, "But I have learned not only to be the proofreader of books, but I am the proofreader of men. I don't only proofread the book, I proofread the author also." And I was born under the Karka Rashi, the star sign of Cancer, the crab. So it is my nature, if I detect in anyone's heart any sentiment which goes against Anya Bilasita Shunyam Jnanakar Madhyanavritam Anukuyena Krishnanushnam Bhakti Uttama, the continuous, unbroken, uninterrupted cultivation of all activities of the body, mind and words, which are meant exclusively for the benefit of Sri Krishna, which are completely devoid of even the slightest trace of ulterior motive or other desire, and not governed by karma, jnana, yoga, reward-seeking activities, desire for liberation, or mystic powers, or dry austerities, then that is called Uttama Bhakti, devotion which is beyond the darkness of this material world. So if I see anything which it contradicts, which is contrary to the principle of this pure devotion, then like a crab, then I pinch it. So in this way, Vajra apikatorani, very, very hard. But this is not the harshness of the material world, which comes from tamagun and anger and envy. But this harshness is pure and unadulterated kripa. Samsara davana lalita loka tranayakara yagana ganatvam praptasya kalyana gunanavasa vande durasvitana. See, Krishna is the ocean of mercy. And that mercy takes the form of a cloud and goes to those places where the ocean does not go. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, one should not become afraid of his uncompromising demeanor, but rather one should welcome that, because that is what his disciples used to call aggressive grace. Aggressive grace. It's a mercy, it's a kindness, which is so full of greed for our benefit, that it comes very forcefully and pulls us out from this material world. So Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur used to say, Saralata e Vaishnavata. Vaishnavism is simplicity. To be honest, to be very straightforward. That simplicity is expressed by not wasting 1 second in investigating and examining the faults of others, and turning our gaze upon ourselves to see what is our weakness, what is our fault, our shortcoming, and trying to give up that. So many persons, they make a show of sadhu sangha. They make a show of being a Vaishnava. But inside, they have a spirit of enjoyment. So they cannot realize anything. In this regard, Prabhupada, he used to tell a very beautiful, instructive story. Once, there was a wealthy zamindar, a landholder, lived in Calcutta, and he arranged for the marriage of his son. So his son was going to marry a girl from Shantipur. So from Calcutta to Shantipur, you can go by boat. So he arranged a very big ceremony, and in the Vedic culture there has to be a grand procession of the bridegroom and all the family members, and they go on a procession to the bride's home, and then there are ceremonies there, and then she comes back with her in-laws to stay with the in-laws family now. So there was a Shubha Lagna, auspicious moment when the wedding will have to take place, when the cloth will be tied together and the wedding will take place, and that would be 4 a.m. in the morning. That was the auspicious moment. Somewhat inconvenient, but the astrologers calculated, and the wedding had to take place at that time. So on the previous day, that wealthy man with the bridegroom all dressed up very beautifully, and about 50 family members, they came with a grand procession, and they came to the bank of the Ganga in Calcutta, and they called the boatman, Nakawala, we need to arrive in Shantipur. Oh, quite before 4 in the morning, because that is a Shubha Lagna, the auspicious moment when the wedding should take place. So can you do it? The boatman said, yes, I can do it, but I'll need more oarsmen. I'll need more people to row. No problem, I'll give you an extra few hundred rupees. Call your men. So then the boatman, he prepared the boat, all the oarsmen came, the bride's groom and his father and all the family and the wedding party, they got onto the boat. And the captain said, don't worry, you can just enjoy yourself. When you're tired, you just take rest. And we'll be there. We'll wake you up when we're riding. In the very early morning. So they were all enjoying very much. Chewing pan, singing, dancing. After some hours, they became tired. They lay down to go to sleep. And the captain and his men, they were rowing the whole night. And then, when the sun was about to rise in the morning, the wedding party, they woke up, they looked around, and they saw they were in the same place where they started. They were furious. The captain of the ship and his men who were rowing, began arguing with each other. You know, when something goes wrong. And then all the team, they were arguing with each other, blaming each other. So then that wealthy man, he said to the captain, you've cheated me. Why didn't you get us there in time? You lazy fellows. He said, we are not lazy fellows. Look, we're sweating. Look at our arms. We've been rowing really hard the whole night. We worked so hard. But still we did not arrive. It's not our fault. So they were all thinking, oh, what went wrong? So then one old person in the party, he said to the captain, said, did you lift the anchor? And then he went to the back of the boat and he looked. And there was a big iron anchor, deep stuck in the mud, on the bank of the Ganga. Ah, alas, alas. No, we did not lift the anchor. Oh, you didn't lift the anchor. No, you didn't. They were blaming each other. No one lifted the anchor. So, this is an analogy. Very serious analogy in regard to our spiritual life. What is the meaning of this? First of all, Calcutta. Srila Gopkishoras Babaji Maharaj, he told Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he said, don't go to the realm of Maya, to the place of Kali, that is Calcutta. But just shortly after Srila Gopkishoras Babaji Maharaj left this world, what did Srila Prabhupada do? He went directly to Calcutta and began preaching. Did he obey his guru or not?
Yes, he obeyed.
He did, yes, because he never went to the realm of Maya. He never went to the place of Kali. He went and established one mat there, and the mat is not in Rajagun, Tamagun or Sattvagun. It is of the transcendental realm, where the deity of Krishna is present, where Vaishnavas are present and Kirtan is going on. That is not part of the material world. So here, anyway, in this example, Calcutta means the realm of Maya. And Shantipur means Shanti, the place of peace and happiness. That is the eternal loving service of Sri Krishna. Prema Raja, the kingdom of love. So if we want to go from the realm of Maya, from the realm of Kali, to the kingdom of love, then we'll have to do some sadhana. And that sadhana will take a great deal of effort. So this analogy, rowing the boat, that is the sadhana. It will require a great deal of effort. Even to attain some mundane worldly achievement, so much effort is required. So what to speak of? Attaining the highest goal of life, Krishna Prem. A great deal of effort is necessary. Drishtva parashmanam Krishna kripayas subandhane. When Mother Yashoda wanted to bind baby Krishna, she was for many hours, she was sweating, she was working so hard, collecting ropes, tying them together and trying to bind him. And Drishtva parashmanam Krishna, when Krishna saw his mother her face was red, perspiration was dripping, and she was doing so much parishrama, hard work. Then Krishna's heart melted, and Kripayasat Subandhane, his Kripa Shakti came and Krishna was bound. So this example is there for us. No one can bind Sri Krishna with the ropes of love who has not done the parishrama, very intense endeavor in sadhana. So here, the anchor means material attachments. In this world, we may have so many material attachments. Bharat Maharaj, he became attached to one deer. He left his kingdom, which was the kingdom of the whole world. He left his queens and his family, so much wealth and power, and he went to the forest. Then he kept one attachment, full attachment to a baby deer and 3 lives. Passed. He did not attain perfection in that life. It took him that life, the next life, and the one after that also. So you can think, Bharat Maharaj having one attachment, it took him 3 lives. How many attachments do you have? How many lives will it take? So, if one is knowingly maintaining his attachments and distractions from pure bhakti, then that means the anchor is there. So one may be doing sadhana every day. That's like the sweating and rowing the boat. But inside, the attachments are still there. Anarthas are still there. And one is holding on to them. So even though one is doing so much work, this work is wasted. It's wasted. No movement is going on. Here, the boatman means bogus guru. If the guru himself, he is not lifted his own anchor. Guru himself has attachments. He has anartha, he has ignorance. Then how will he give power to the disciple to lift their attachments? The Shubha Lagna, the auspicious moment, means the human form of life. And the wedding means that our soul should become established in eternal loving relationship with Sri Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. This relationship should be established, and the chance, the moment, the auspicious moment, that is the human form of life. It should not pass. Just like that wealthy man, the auspicious moment passed. And now, even if they arrive there, some hours later, they could not do the wedding because it has to take place at the auspicious moment. So for us also, if we lose our time, and this life passes, there's no guarantee that very easily, again, the chance will come. So Shastra said, Labdva sudurlabham idam bahusam pavante manusyamārtadam anityam apiya dhira turnam yateta napatet anumrittuyavan nishreyasaya vishaya kalusarvatashat. This human form of life is very, very rare. It's precious. We should not take it for granted. It's attained after traveling through many, many different species. And even though this life is a temporary, but it is artadam, it can give us the supreme benefit. And therefore, Turunam yateta, at once, Turunam means at once, immediately. Yateta, at once one should make a very intense endeavor to attain the goal of life. Anumrittu java, don't fall back down into a lower condition. But nishreyasaya vishya kalusarvatashat. One should try for the nishreya, the ultimate benefit, the ultimate beatitude, the supreme glorious prospect of every soul, Krishna Prem. Try very intensely for this. Don't be worried about sense gratification. Why? Vishaya kalusarvatashat. Sense gratification is there in every birth, in every life, and it also comes even in this life automatically without any endeavor due to the subtle movement of karma. So there's no need at all to lift one finger to get sense gratification. It's a complete frustration and waste of time. No need at all. So when one has this life, one should completely surrender to a qualified guru. Nridayam adyam sulabam sudurlavam plavam sukalpam guru karnadharam mayanu kulyena nabasveritam humam bababdim nataret atmaha. See, Krishna has instructed that this human body is like boat, and the soul is the passenger. This boat should have a captain, that is Guru. Here the word Guru is used. For Guru is used Karnadara. Karnadara means captain of a boat. And Karnadara means guru. Karna means ear. And Dara means holding. Just like when a child is running around and naughty, then the parent will catch by the, hey, come here, don't go there, come. And control him. So in the same way, of one's own volition, one has to surrender to Sri Guru and follow the instruction of Guru. To chant very carefully, avoiding 10 times of Namaparad every day. To remember Gayatri mantras with the greatest honor 3 times a day. To avoid all the things which are detrimental for bhakti. Atyahara priyasascha prayajao podhyamagraha janasangastaloyam tasabhi bhakti vinasati. Association with worldly minded persons, mundane talk, all of these things. So very carefully serving Sri Guru and following the instructions of Sri Guru to avoid all the things which are detrimental for bhakti. Then one can make progress. By his sadhan is like putting up a sail. Then the wind of Krishna's mercy will fill the sail of his sadhana, and the boats will cross over the ocean of material existence. That person who in this does not use this human form of life to cross over the ocean of material existence, then sa'atvaha, that person is knowingly committing suicide. It's very tragic. So Guru is called Karnadana. Tannasandashito datra dustaram nistitishtatam kalim sattvaharam pumsam Karnadara ivarnavam. Shaunaka Rishi said to Sutta Goswami, "O Sutta Goswami, we think that we have met you, your grace, by the will of providence, so we can accept you as captain of the ship to cross over this ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of human beings. If we're not in the shelter of Sri Guru and pure Vaishnavas, then just the atmosphere of this Kali Yuga will draw us in and cause us to become gradually contaminated and sinking in the ignorance of the bodily conception of life. Identification with the gross body and subtle body, which is not at all the self, at all. But we'll live in that state of ignorance. This is the nature of Kali. So Guru is Karnadara. We have to allow that Guru can catch the ear. Well, if you walk in the street and some stranger will come up to you and grab you by the ear and pull you around, then you can call the police and make a court case against that person for assault. But you cannot do that with Guru, because you have volunteered yourself. That is Guru Padashraya. Guru Padashraya means to take shelter. As Arjuna said to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, Shishasteham sadimam tvam prapanam. Oh Krishna, I am confused about my duty. I don't know which way to go. I don't know what decision to make that will be auspicious in my life. And therefore now I am your disciple and I have surrendered to you. I accept your discipline. That means if Guru will tell us to do something which is very difficult, then anyway we have to tolerate and do it. So Shadimam, inflict discipline upon me. Tom Prapanam, I surrender to you. Now I am your disciple. So when this mood is there, and the disciple is ready to face all difficulties and problems in the service of Sri Guru, then what happens? Some power comes, some kripa comes from Gurudev, that the disciple can pick up that heavy anchor. Because that anchor of attachments is stuck in the mud, and it's very hard. Try again and again. We cannot lift it. But when we accept the discipline of Sri Guru, the instruction of Sri Guru, we make that one with our heart. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitate Kuri Aikya Ana Karyo Mani Asha. Then some power comes. And then without too much difficulty, we can lift that anchor, give up the worldly attachments. When the worldly attachments have become loose, then one can give up ahankar completely. Unless and until one gives up the ahankar, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am the controller, I am the seer of the aprakrita vastu, supernatural things. Unless and until we give up this mentality, then we cannot chant purely. Sutva pina mamahatnyam yapriti rohito dhamma aham mamadi paramo. No? Namni sopya parada krit. The offenses to the holy name, they become more and more subtle. So the first one, satam nindam nam nam paramam aparadam vitanute. Don't criticize devotees. This is the very most dangerous thing and the immediate thing, because in the material world the mind is full of envy and fault finding and seeing faults in others and speaking them. Nindarasa sada pibat, there's a saying in Sanskrit. Always relish the nectar of criticism. No, don't do that. That's a saying that we don't follow. So it's very important. Vacho vegam, first control the tongue. Don't speak ill of anyone, especially devotees. To see a fault is a fault. One should try to be like Yudhishthira Maharaj, Adosha Darshi. Not seeing the faults of others. Try to see their good qualities. But especially don't criticize devotees. So each one of the nama parads is a very intractable problem, difficulty, an impasse that stands between us and Krishna Prem. But nira parad nan laile pai premadan. If anyone will chant without committing any offense to the holy name, then Mahaprabhu says, Krishna Prem will come. You can try so many different types of secret and esoteric meditations and everything. But if you are chanting Namaparad, nothing. Nothing will happen. So, and if you are not chanting Namaparad, then even without any esoteric things, the holy name, Swayameva Spuratyada, self-manifests his form, qualities, associates, your swarup, seva and pastimes. So, the very last of the 10 Namaparads, what is that? Aham mamadi parmo namni sopya paradakrit. Even after hearing the glories of the holy name, to not feel pretty, affection for the holy name. And how is that absence of affection for Nam Prabhu expressed? Aham mamadi parmo namni sopya paradakrit. By maintaining the attachment to the concept of I and mine. I and mine, this ego, or this body is me, that body is you, living in the plane of duality. When the eyes are open, then what does he see? Vasudeva Savamiti. Oh Krishna, you are everywhere, you are everything. You are earth, water, fire, air, space, or the whole universe, everything. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. You are everything, so there's no room for me here. Where can I go? Nowhere to go. I can only go into the endless ocean of rasa instead. So when the consciousness is purified, like Vyasadeva, Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite Malay, Pasya Purusham Purnam Mayam Chat Tar Pasrayam. When Vyasadeva became absorbed in the mantra given by his Gurudev Narad Rishi, he went into Samadhi and he saw whole universe is Krishna's external energy. He saw the spiritual world as well. And he saw the jivas who were wandering in ignorance in Maya. And he understood by hearing the holy name and hearing Harikatha, those jivas can be transferred from the external energy, the Bahiranga Shakti, and then they'll be transferred into the Antaranga Shakti, into the spiritual world. So this is Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha Gyan, to realize, to see, not to theoretically have some like shopping list of concepts, but to actually experience in Samadhi, this is external energy, This is internal energy, and I am directional, tatastha. It can go this way or that way. This is actual. Sadharana Sambandha Gyan, general Sambandha Gyan. Vishesh Sambandha Gyan of our actual spiritual identity in Krishna Lila. That is a higher step, further step. But if the Sadharana Sambandha Gyan, that vision is not there, then the Vishesh Sambandha Gyan is very far away. So Namni Sopya Paradikrit, to maintain the conception of I and mine related to the body and mind, this is offense to the holy name. As long as we are holding on to this, then we cannot chant purely. So it is something very profound. If a person is very rajasic, they cannot understand it. When the mind becomes somewhat steady, there is a predominance of sattva gun, some vivek, some discrimination arises, then one can understand that I am sakshi, I am the witness of my divritya shakshi, of the vrittis of my chitta. All the movements of my intelligence, the ego, everything, they are not me. They are just the contaminations of the chitta. So Maya sets up this duality of subject and object. So I think I am the subject, this ego, and I am seeing the world, the object, and I am measuring the world and enjoying it. But when the chitta becomes little steady and purified and clean, Chaito Darpanamarjanam, then you'll see that behind that subject, there is another subject. That is the soul. And one can have objective vision towards his own ego and not follow the dictations of the ego. We follow dictation of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So we have to come into that state of sakshitva, of witnesshood. Any performance of bhakti before that is mixed bhakti. It is not pure. To be situated in sakshitva, witnesshood, this is actually the purport of Mahaprabhu's instruction. Trinadapi sunichena, tarodapi srishtana, manina manadena kirtanya sadahari. To be more humble than a blade of grass. Because how can I be more humble than a blade of grass? Is so insignificant. I am more significant than the blade of grass. How can I be more humble than him? Because the blade of grass has ego, I am a blade of grass. So if we attain sakshitva, witnesshood towards our own, the subject, which is the Mayic subject, manufactured by Maya, not the actual subject, then that is actually Tranadapi Sunichena. So in the Upanishads it is said, Sukamaham aswapsam nakinchit avedisam. It's a very important mantra of the Sruti. Sukamaham aswapsam nakinchit avedisam. Someone asked, oh, did you sleep well? And the person replies, yes, I slept very happily. I don't remember anything. This is the mantra of Shruti. Sukamaham asopsam. I slept very happily. Nakinchid avedisam. I didn't know anything. What does it mean? That means that you had deep sleep. Because if you don't have deep sleep, then you have the dream sleep. REM, rapid eye movement. And in your dreams, things are maybe strange or disturbing. So if you only dream and you don't go into deep sleep, then when you wake up, you don't feel rested. You don't feel refreshed. Experiments have been done, waking people up while they're asleep, but waking up before they go into deep sleep. And they keep doing this, and the person begins to go completely mad. So, I slept very happily, I don't remember anything, means that person went into deep sleep. Now what happens? When we are awake, in the waking state, then our body is active, our senses are active, our mind and ego, they're all active. But when we go into sleep, into dreaming, then the body is not active, but the mind is active in the dream state, and the ego is active in the dream state. But then when we go into deep sleep, then in the state of deep sleep, then the mind is dissolved, senses are dissolved, the ego is dissolved also. Now, if the ego is dissolved, then who is the person who said, oh, I don't remember anything, I had a very happy sleep? There's a person behind that. You see, this Shruti mantra is actually cutting impersonalism also. Because the impersonalist thinks that, oh, ego is very bad, I have to get rid of it. And when ego, the sense of I, is gone, then Aham Brahmasmi. I'm not an individual anymore. There's no sense beyond the material sense of I. There is just the Nirvishesh Brahman, the light of Brahman, which has no characteristics at all. But this is impossible. Why? Because the upadhi, or the designation of a material I, it could not cover Brahman. If Brahman if the Brahman has no characteristics, it could not be covered by a designation. Because something which has characteristics can have no relation with something which has no characteristics. And therefore, what is beyond the ego, the material ego, must be another sense of I. Only if there's an individual behind the ego can that ego accept the designation of another ego. Right? So if there's no individual spiritual persons, then the ego cannot become a designation and cover that individual. So this Shruti mantra is saying, Sukhamaham asvatsamyatim chidavedisham. I slept very soundly, I don't remember anything. It is indicating that beyond when the material ego is dissolved, there's another ego. The material ego is illusory, it is of Maya, it is Ahankar, it is a tamasic transformation of the Mahatattva or of the Chitta. But beyond that is the Ahamta, the sense of I-ness, Aham Artha, the sense of I-ness of the soul himself. So, it's necessary to give up the material ego and be situated in the Shuddha Hankar, the Shuddha Hamta. In fact, Srila Vishwanath Thakur in Madhurya Kadambini, he describes the progress in bhakti as two things going on simultaneously: the gradual reduction of the material ego and the gradual rise and absorption in the hamta, the sense of I-ness related to Atma, the soul. So, in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, there he said, Ahankara nivrittanam keshavo nahi duravagaha ahankara yutanam hi madhye paravatarashayaha. The meaning is, for that person who has given up the material ego, then the Supreme Lord is not far away. Krishna, Keshava Krishna, is very close to that person who has done the Ahankara Nivritti. But Ahankara Yutanam Hi, if a person is united with their material ego, then Madhye Parvatarashaya, in between that person and Krishna, there are huge, huge, impassable mountain ranges, very far away. So, Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad, in his commentary on Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he gives a verse from Yoga Vashisht. Api pushpava danalad, api netra nilalanad, sukaroan kriti chago, matastat tattva veda bihi. Means that those who who have realized the Ahankar Tattva, they say that it is easier to give up the Ahankar than it is to pluck a flower. You see? That was easy. But giving up the ego is easier than that. As easy as it is to close the eyes. Very easy. But it's more easy to give up the Ahankar. So the knowers of Ahankar Tattva, they say this. So why can't we give it up? Because consciousness is absorbed in worldly attachments. And if a person gives up the worldly attachments, but still they don't give up the kapatata, duplicity. Savatyaga pipeyaya savanata bhuvastate kuryu pravista vistaya yatnam maspashate param. In Hari Bhakti Vilas it says, oh, you have given up everything. You have given up money, you have given up your house, you have given up your family. You have given up all anarthas except for one. The anartha of pratishta. The desire to be respected by other persons. And as long as that desire for pratishta is there, then kapatata is there, crookedness is there. And then, though it's easy to give up ahankar, but the person cannot do it. This is why Prabhupada says, Saralata e Vaishnavata. Vaishnavism is simplicity. In the latter part of the pastimes of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he was dictating his biography to one of his scholarly disciples, Sundarananda Vidvinod. And at that time, Srila Prabhupada said, if I want to encapsulate the basic core of my message that I have come to tell in this world, then it can be encapsulated in this. This is what I want that you will understand. Drik Drishya Vichar. The deliberation on who is the seer and who is the seen. And then Srila Prabhupada began to cry. And he said, but very few have understood it. Though I have spoken it, very few have understood it. So we should try today to understand this subject so that we don't make Srila Prabhupada cry. Right? We're supposed to give happiness to our gurus, not make them cry. So it's very important to understand Drishya Vichar. It means the deliberation on who is the seer and who is the seen. Once Srila Prabhupada came into the temple room and he was standing a little far back from the deities and he looked towards the deities. And one disciple said, oh Prabhupada, I'll go and get your spectacles. And because he was thinking that Srila Prabhupada, in his older age, he cannot see clearly all the decorations of the deities. Srila Prabhupada said, no, that is not necessary. Because we come before Krishna that he will see us. We cannot see by our own power. But when we live our life in such a way that Krishna's heart is melted and is eager to look at us, then when his kripa drishti, his merciful glance falls upon us, then he reveals himself. The Supreme Lord cannot be seen by any power of our own. If a person is chanting and trying to imagine in his mind, then he is just trying to see by his worldly power, aroha panta, by the ascending process. But rather, one should surrender completely to Krishna now and weep bitterly. Alas, alas. Ainanda tanuja kikaram patitam mam vishaneva pambuddha. Kripaya tavapada pankajasti tuduli sadrisham vichimpaya. When Srila Prabhupada, he used to go into the Jagannath temple, then he used to stand by the Garuda Stamba like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? He said that many people are running into the temple, they're trying to get into the front to have a good look. But what do they see? They see a wooden mannequin which is mutilated, does not have proper arms and legs. They may see, oh, here is some wooden statue which is not alive, but there's something, the Shalagram Shila inside him which is alive. There are so many concepts about Lord Jagannath and who he is. So all those persons who come in this way with an aggressive empirical attitude, they can never understand the transcendental reality. Srila Prabhupada said, I am standing at the back and I am praying that Lord Jagannath will cast his merciful glance upon me, but I have one, let us say, tactic. What is that tactic? That Garuda is very dear to Lord Jagannath. So Garuda is like a guru. So Lord Jagannath is definitely looking at Garuda. So if I'll stand next to Garuda, then he may look on me as well. So in this way, if we can try to be in Anugatya, that means very, very close to our Gurudev. Serve him. Not always by physical proximity sometimes, but very close to Gurudev, following the Vani, not only the Vapu and Vani both, the teaching of Gurudev, being very close to Gurudev. Then, when Sri Krishna looks at Gurudev, if we are closely following behind him, then he will look upon us as well. And then when we become immersed in his Kripa Drishti, his merciful glance, then our own divine vision will wake up. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad here said, Tistan Brajai Tadanuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayadakalam Ityupadesha Saram. The essence of all advice is that one should 24 hours a day engage the tongue and the mind in hearing, chanting and remembering about Sri Krishna's name, form, qualities, associates and pastimes in a crowd, in a sequence. In this way one should reside in Braj and be under the guidance of the Brijvasis, the eternal associates of the Lord, following in their footsteps. So what does it mean to follow in their footsteps? The Brijvasis, they never see anything with the Bhogya Darshan. Bhogya Darshan means the vision of enjoyment. Their vision is only Aisham Gosha Nivasinam Utapavam Kim Deva Rate Itinas Cheto Vishwa Falat Falam Todaparam Kutra Prayan Muyati Sadve Shari Vaputa Napisukalam Tam Deva Pita Yad Dhanata Surit Priyatmadayita Pranas Pranashayat Krite. Lord Brahma has said this. He said, oh Krishna, I don't know how you repay these Brijvasis for their love. When Putana, she only dressed herself like a Brijvasi and came to you, and what did you give to her? You gave yourself. So in the whole universe, there's nothing greater that you can give than to give yourself. And you already gave yourself to Putana just for dressing up like a Brijvasi. So what is there which is left over to give? You can't give the same thing or something equal or yourself to them, only that. Because the Brijvasis, Putana came to poison you, but what do the Brijvasis do? Yadamata surit prayava tanaya pranasayas pratvite. Their wealth, their bodies, their pran, their families, their everything exists only for you. They see everything only for your happiness. They have given themselves and everything to you completely. So what is left over for you to give to them when you've given yourself? And Lord Brahma was wrinkling his nose like this and asking this question. So the answer is there is something Krishna can give which is more than himself. And that is Braja Prem. Because Putana, she received the destination of Golok, where there's some Aishwarya mood. But in Braja, it is a Shuddha Madhurya. So Krishna has given that Kevala Madhurya Mayi Prem to the Brijvasis. So Brijvasis' vision is that a Brijvasi, the transcendental residents of Braj, have no way at all of measuring their own happiness. They cannot think of their own happiness. For them, happiness is only that Krishna is happy. Whatever makes Krishna happy, they feel happiness. Other than that, they have no way of sensing. How do you sense your happiness? Or If you're too hot or too cold, then you cool down, oh, that feels better. If you're hungry, then you eat, oh, yes, that feels better. Like that. Always, we're miyate anaya iti maya. Maya means by which we measure is called maya. So our consciousness is always measuring how much happiness we can get from various circumstances. But the Brijbasis have no mechanism, no way of sensing any type of happiness related to themselves. Try to understand what it means to follow the Brijbasis. It's not a simple thing, just like whatever, chanting and trying to remember the Krishna cartoon. That's not the spiritual world. That's your entertainment. We're talking about the vision of the Brijbasis. This is something else. This is aprakrita, supernatural. This is beyond the realm of ego. This cannot be understood or touched by the mind or intelligence of a person who is identifying with their gross and subtle bodies. The realm of bhajan is something extraordinary. So Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur again and again, he was cutting to bring us to the, so we're situated in with the right perspective towards the divine reality. Radhika herself said, Nagani apanaduka sobi vanche tarasuka amare tatparya mori jadi dia duka tara hoile masuka sehi duka mora sukha varya. Radhika said, O Sakhi, to Lalita and Vishaka, my dear Sakhis, I never count my own happiness at all. I only want Krishna's happiness. Krishna's happiness is the purport of my life. And if Krishna will derive some happiness by giving suffering to me, then for me that suffering is my greatest happiness. This is what it means to be in the anugatya of the gopis. Gopi anugatya bina aishwarya gani bhajileya nahipai brajanda nandani. Raman right told Mahaprabhu, without being in the anugatya of Braj gopis, then no one can attain the son of Nanda Maharaj in Braja. So even though Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur was preaching, it may seem somehow very uncompromising. Yeah, but really this is what? Aggressive grace. Because when he met with his Gurudev, Gokishodas Babaji Maharaj, and Srila Gokishodas, he came to him to ask for initiation. And Prabhupada, he was from aristocratic family. He was extremely learned. He was very honored in society. He had all dharmic virtues. Whatever is considered virtuous and desirable in this world, he had it all. So any guru has attachments, and a disciple like that comes, they don't even ask for initiation. The guru, hey, come here, I'll give you Harinam. Yeah? Because they're greedy to increase their own prestige. But when he came to Srila Gokishodas Babaji, Srila Gokishodas Babaji completely ignored him, like he was dust. And I was thinking, what is this? So either this person is really puffed up, or he's unlimitedly merciful. And then he decided he's unlimitedly merciful. And it's the heart of Prabhupada. He was quite young at that time. It was shook to the core. No one had ever disregarded him in such a way. People may be very positive towards him, or they may be very negative, but no one was indifferent. It was shocking to him. And he realized, he said, my Guru, he gave me a jolt that broke me out from this, the illusion, this bodily identification. And I realized that if the other people of the world, they don't experience this jolt that shakes them out, they will never come out from the grip of Maya. Understand? So Guru gives this jolt. He shakes us up. He makes the earth beneath our feet crumble and disappear. You will have vertigo. It's like an existential crisis, but that destruction is there for the rebuilding of one's consciousness in concord with reality, not in concord with illusion. So, Vajra Apikotorani, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is harder than a thunderbolt. No, this is actually his aggressive grace. And also Kusamadapi, softer than a rose, his heart is always melting in Braja Prem. Sometimes he would quote a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Nadyastada tudupadarya mukunda gita avata lakshita manopava bhaknavida alinganas stagitam urmi mujavarare grinati padi yugalam kamalo bahara. O Sakhi, Radhika is saying, O Sakhi, when Krishna plays the flute, then look, the Jamuna river becomes stunned. One part becomes stunned and the other part is still coming. So it makes whirlpools. This is because the Jamuna river is feeling very intense calm, strong desire to please the senses of Sri Krishna. And the whirlpools are twirling the lotus flowers around and breaking the flower from the stem. And then carrying the lotus flowers on her waves. And when Sri Krishna comes to the edge of the water, she offers the lotus flowers at Krishna's feet. Radhika is seeing her own Prem everywhere. And really her Prem is everywhere. Because when Srila Jiva Goswami Pad said, don't think that only that when Krishna plays the flute, then the Jamuna becomes agitated. But rather, when Krishna plays the flute, Radhika becomes agitated. And her Mahabhav manifests in separation. Brahmanda Kshobha character. The characteristic of making a disturbance in the whole universe. And so the trembling and the symptoms in the Jamuna are actually the spreading out of the waves of Mahabhav coming from Radhika. So when Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he used to say such a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, he would tremble and tears of love would flow down from his eyes. You know that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written a song. Banane tarito basataravali kamala manjari namo saribarabhasha vayasa satata swananda sukadada. My complexion is shining like lightning. My cloth is dark blue with the shining sparkles like the stars in the night sky. I am 12.5 years old and my name is Kamala Manjari. I eternally serve Radha and Krishna in the Swananda Sukada Kunj with Kapur Seva under the guidance of Lalita Sakhi. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is the incarnation of Kamala Manjari. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur revealed that his guru, Srila Gopkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Diksha Guru, is the incarnation of Guna Manjari. And he himself, also in 1921, he wrote a letter to one of his very earliest disciples, Kunji Bihari Prabhu. And there he said that Vrishabhanu Nandi, she has a young maidservant named Nayana Mani Manjari. And Radhika, she always wants to keep her by her side. So my Gurudev, he used to say that Nayana Mani means the jewel of the eye. The glance of Radhika is so powerful that only by her glance Radhika can make Krishna stand up, sit down and stand up again. Very powerful. When she glances at Krishna with her eyes full of love, at that time Krishna's hands tremble, he drops his flute, he drops his pitambar, his peacock feather falls from his hair. And Krishna himself faints. So the loving glance of Radhika is so powerful. That loving glance has become Nayana Mani Manjari. Nayana means eye. Your eyelid always protects the eye spontaneously. If some dust is coming, then your eyelids will close and blink like that and try to protect the eye. No one has to teach you this. No one has to train you in this. You don't have to think about it. Oh, here comes some dust. Let me blink the eyes. It happens just spontaneously. It is Swarasiki, natural. So in the same way, Radhika has the Swarasiki love for Nainamani Manjari and always protects it, just as the eyelids protect the eye. So Srila Prabhupada himself wrote, there is one young maidservant named Nainamani Manjari, and Radhika likes to keep her by her side. But sometimes, that Manjari cannot be there with Radhika. Prabhupada does not say why, but there are so many examples in the writings of our Goswamis. For example, Alam Mane Grantani Brita Mokshaya Charya. There is a verse Srila Raghunath Das Goswami saying that once Lalita was making Radhika do man. Durte Prajanda Tanaya Tanu Shushtabanyam Ma Dakshina Babakalam Kinilagavaya. Krishna is a Durta. He's such a rascal. He's such a cheater. Don't be submissive to him. Radhe Giram Shinuhitam Iti Shikshantim Devim Kunai Sulalitam Lalitam Namami. Listen to me, Radhika. I am giving you this instruction. It's for your own good. I know better than you. I am not so naive like you. I have experience. So Lalita is making Radhika do man. But actually Krishna has not made a fault. It is some misunderstanding. So then Krishna persuades Rati Manjari, oh, please go and plead my case in the Kunja. I cannot go there, but if you go and plead my case in the Kunja of Radhika, then you can save me. I'm taking shelter of you. You are very expert in untying knots. In the morning, my hair is entangled in Radhika's nose ring. And Radhika's hair is entangled in my earring. So when we try to get up from the bed of flowers, it's very... So you come there at that time, and by your nimble fingers you untie the knots. So now I'm asking you, you are expert at untying knots, please untie this knot in Radhika's heart. So she'll agree to meet with me. So with these sweet words, hearing this Rati Manjari, she went and marched her outside and took her away, and don't come back. We see the same in the cleaning of the Gundicha Marjanam pastime. Who Lalita Saki in the form of Swarup Damodar catches one devotee and takes him outside. So here, sometimes, some crisis happens in the Leela, and some Manjari gets separated from Radharani's seva. So then, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also written about this. That if I had to give up the service of Radhika's lotus feet, even for one moment, it would be like the pralaya. It would be as if the whole universe has been devastated. Like the total cosmic annihilation for me. So Srila Prabhupada say that I stay very close to Radhika, but sometimes I cannot be there. So he says at that time, one Saki, one Manji, Bimala Manji, she makes an excuse. That's it. I'm going to go and I'm going to sever my relationship with that Nainamani Manjari. And I'm going to go and tell her that that's it, we can't be friends anymore. And on the pretext of going to sever the relationship, then that Vimala Manji, she goes actually to give some reassurance, some aswas, some consolation, and make an arrangement how she can come back and be reunited in the seva. So, Srila Prabhupada, he has written in a letter, like, is revealing something about his own eternal position and the tremendous, profound love between Radhika and her maidservants, and how also sometimes there are some waves in that ocean. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, he wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada once, and just before leaving this world. And he said, Hridaya bolilo kebo, daito dasero sevo, gopi dana katara kirtan, gopi dana katara kirtan. The meaning is, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, oh, someone spoke into my heart and said, Daita Dasa Seva, the eternal service of Daita Das, that is our Prabhupada, you know. His name before sannyas was Sri Bharshabhanavi Devi Daita Das. Bharshabhanavi Devi Daita Das. So, he's saying, someone has spoken into my heart that the eternal service of the Daita Das is Gopi Dana Katha Kirtan, performing Kirtan of the Gopi Dana Katha. Performing Kirtan, that means singing and speaking about the Katha of Gopi Dhan, the treasure of the gopis. So what does that mean? It means that Kripaya Hari Kirtana Murti Dharam Dharani Barahara Kagora Janakarika Vatsala Snihita Padam Pranamami Sada Prabhupada Padam. In this prayer, Srila Bhaktivinoda Srila Goswami Maharaj, he said, Kripaya Hari Kirtana Murti Dharam, that Srila Prabhupada is, by his mercy, he is the Murti, the embodiment of Hari Kirtan. He's the embodiment of Kirtan. And here, what type of Kirtan? Gopi Dhana Katha Kirtan. The Kirtan of the Katha, which is Gopi Dhan. So Gopi Dhan can have several meanings. Yashomati Nandana Prajaparanagana Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Paradana Madana Vandohara Kalya Davana Vidana. Gopi Paranadana. Krishna himself is Gopi Dhana, the treasure of the hearts of Braj Gopis. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he is the embodiment of that kirtan of Sri Krishna, who is the life and soul of Braj Gopis. The indication is that in Krishna Lila, in the form of Nayana Manjari, that Manjari service is Kirtan Seva. It's Kirtan Seva. For example, if Radha and Krishna, they are relaxing, one maidservant is fanning, another maidservant is massaging the feet, but another maidservant is singing. Which seva is the most rasapurna? Navam divyam kavyam sukritamatalamna tatkulam praheri gutata saki ruchirabhina dwanigati. Raghunath Das Goswami Party says that, oh, when will that day come? When Lalita Saki will bring me to Radhika and say, oh Radhika, this Apurva Lavanyavati, this very effulgent and beautiful young Saki, she is full of affection. You should teach her your own poetry, your own dramas and your own songs, and teach her how to play on veena also. So the maidservants of Radhika, they learn from Radhika herself her own poetry and how to sing that and play on the veena. Then when Radhika meets with Krishna, then they sing the very songs that Radhika has composed. Why did Radhika compose those songs? To please Krishna. So the songs which are composed by Radhika herself to please Krishna, they are the most beautiful songs. So at that time when Radhika is very tired and cannot sing, in the arms of Sri Krishna, then one Manjri will have a seva to be there and sing those very songs which pluck on the heartstrings of Sri Krishna, which are being composed by Radhika herself. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, by this poem, Gopi Dana Katha Kirtan, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur revealed one aspect of the main Nitya Seva of Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And because this is his Nitya Seva in Radha Krishna's pastimes, when he came in his form in Gaura Leela, in his Sadak form in this world, then he was the embodiment of Kirtan, and his very powerful and sweet Kirtan was going everywhere, and he was inspiring that in the hearts of everyone, and especially our Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and he also went all over the world and made Kirtan everywhere. Because this Kirtan is so powerful, well, it's changing the hearts of everyone. So this is some insights. We are discussing the outer aspect and also the inner aspect of the personality and the life of Prabhupada Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. Gopi Dana Katha has another meaning. So Gopi Dan means Krishna. And another meaning of Gopi Dan means, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written, Swarasiki Siddhi Braja Gopi Dan. The Braja Gopis Dan is Swarasiki Siddhi. The perfection of their Swarasiki Bhav. You know? Iste Swarasiki Raga Parama Vistata Bhavet. Tanmai Ya Bhavat Bhakti Sata Ragatmik Kodita. The definition of Ragatmik Prem, the love of the eternal associates, is that bhakti which is composed of the Swarasiki Paramavistata, a spontaneous, automatic, natural, total absorption in the object of love, is called the Raga. Raga is Swarasiki Paramavistata. So Raga is not really, it is like saying the ghee is life. Ghee is not life. But if you take ghee, you have a long life. So ghee is the cause of life. So when it is said Swarasiki Paramavistata is Rag, that the spontaneous natural absorption is Rag, it really means that the Rag is it is an unquenchable loving thirst, which is the cause of the complete and spontaneous natural absorption. So this Rag is there in the eternal associates of the Supreme Lord, and this is the Dhana of the Braja Gopis. So Tambulapana Padamadana Payodana Visara Divi Brindaranya Maheshwarim Priyataya Stoshayanti Priya Prana Prastasaki Kulada Pikala Sankochita Bhumika Keli Bhumi Shurupa Mandri Mukha Stardasika Sangsray. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami has described the spontaneous, natural loving services that the maidservants of Radha and Krishna are performing. Tambu Lapana, offering refreshing tambu to Radha and Krishna when they become tired. Pada Madana, massaging their lotus feet, fanning them, bringing cool water and wiping away their perspiration and the marks of their cosmetics and so on. In this way, they serve very intimately in the Nikunjas to Radha and Krishna. How? Prana Prastasiki Kulada Pikala Sankochita Bhumika. When Radha and Krishna meet together, at that time, Lalita, Vishaka and others, they have to recede into the background and they'll go and sit under a tree and talk to each other on the bank of the Jamuna. Because Radha and Krishna will feel some inhibition in their presence. But those maidservants are somewhat younger, and they have a free pass to come and go into the Kunj as their service requires. So Raghunath Das Goswami says, I take shelter of Rupa Manjari and all of her group who are spontaneously serving in this way. So Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, he says that Srishwari Dristivagadi serving Gita Vichakshanam. These maidservants, they are Vichakshana, extremely expert in the Sarva Ingits, all types of hints. It may be just a movement of her hand, it may be a glance with her eye, or it may be just the way that she's breathing. But the maidservants of Radhika, only seeing the breathing of Radha Krishna, they can understand exactly what they want and at what time they need it, and like this. So their service is so close and so intimate. That service is the Swarasiki Siddhi, which is the Brajagopi Dhan, the treasure of Brajagopis. So coming back to what Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote about Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, Gopi Dana Katara Kirtan, that the service of the Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur is singing the kirtan of the glories of Gopi Puranadana Krishna and singing the glories of the Radha Dasyam. The highest pinnacle of attainment for any living entity in Radha Krishna's Lila, Radha Dasyam, the servitude to Srimati Radhika. So in this way, I offer my Shaka Pushpanjali thousands and thousands of times at the lotus feet of Prabhupada Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. Those who can tolerate his hard exterior, can receive his aggressive grace. After that, they can realize the sweet, soft flowers of his many internal bhavs. Prabhupada Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur ki jai! Gaur Premanande! So we have on the book table over there, please everyone, take copy, study it tonight, study it tomorrow. If you have any questions, tomorrow is the day we want to discuss this. Very amazing, amazing lectures of Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur spoken in 1929. And now, is there Arti part? Everything is here for Arti? So we have Arti and
Vijay is just now moving.
And tomorrow is the same time, 5:30 begin bhajans. But then the next day, I think we start earlier, right? 4 o'clock. Huh?
4 p.m.
4 p.m. on Saturday, and then on Sunday it's in the morning, 11 o'clock. So please come on time and also invite your friends and family. Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari
Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari Gaura
Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Adhuti Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Shri Prem Prayojan Prabhu, to the Guru Ki Jai.
Prabhupada, and then Prabhu